Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of 42, and Taylor Swift released a new album last week called The Tortured Poets Department. Every time I say that, I think of the Dead Poets Society, and I switch society with department. Whatever. I think it's a bad name. This is a couple-parter thing here, because at first I thought the album was mid. I thought the album was all right. It was mediocre. Track 13, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, rips. It's a banger. That song is awesome. The one about the daddy, I'm in love with him or whatever, is a good song. I don't know all the titles. One thing I've been doing is posting on Instagram and TikTok. I've been doing fake lyrics about certain things. I've been picking songs out and then saying it's about something, because people on the internet, I've mentioned this before, Swifties on the internet love going through her lyrics and her Easter eggs and figuring out what they're about. So I've been going through and making fake lyrics about some of the new songs and saying they're about new things. Like one I said was about the OceanGate submarine implosion from last year, the Jussie Smollett hoax. Another one I said was about who did I say? I did four of them today. I did one about I posted one today about her not liking being stuck behind people trying to make left-hand turns on the busy streets. Then I did another one that was about I can't remember, but it's funny. It was about Dog the Bounty Hunter. The name of the song is Black Dog, and I posted fake lyrics about it being about bounty hunting, and it exploded on TikTok and Instagram, and every now and then there's a comment. It's like, these aren't the words. But at first I didn't like the album. And this is a phrase I had, perpetual fluency. I'm going to talk about what that is, because that's something that I learned. It's something that I learned listening to, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, self-help books, and things like that. And I kind of wanted to talk about the bullet points about what perceptual fluency is for a bit. And it also pertains to this new Taylor Swift album, because I listened to it kind of a couple times, not all the way through, but I've heard a bunch of the songs multiple times. And at first, I didn't care for them. At first, I'm like, it's not that I didn't care for them. They just kind of sound the same, and they're all kind of not as good as Midnights or Red or 1989 or Reputation. And I listened to them a couple more times, and I started liking them. And that got me to perpetual fluency. I'm going to talk to you about perpetual fluency and why now I like a lot of the new Taylor Swift songs. So I was listening to a book. It may have been about dating or self-help or something like that, and it mentioned the phrase perpetual fluency. And basically what that is perpetual fluency. Perpetual fluency is the ease of processing stimuli based on manipulations to perceptual quality, right? Retrieval fluency is the ease with which information can be retrieved from memory. Basically, processing and redundancy, right? So, bullet points, yada, yada. Fluency and familiarity, right, have been shown to lead to because of the exposure effect, right? Research has found that repetition of a stimuli can lead to fluent processing, which leads to feeling a liking. So the reason I was looking into this in the first place was because I was listening to a book and it said it, and it was talking about inner office or workplace romances, or like work husbands and things like that. There's been a lot of things on the internet lately where it's like dating, dating someone, finding a spouse at your workplace. You're more likely to date a less attractive person who works with you than if you were to see them regularly on the street. And it was something about it was something to do with that, right? I can't remember the book I was listening to, but it was talking about how people on the internet, as well as, quote unquote, dating scale, you're somebody you see on the street or you meet out in public or on a dating app, you might not want to date them. But if you actually work with them you're more likely to date them. And that has to do with because they become familiar. They become, you start to like them because you see their stimuli, their appearance, their answers, their talking, their who they are as a person, right? Instead of just writing them off as they don't check all my boxes. It's processing. It's a perceptual fluency, right? Like you percept it because it's fluent, because you're fluent in the recurring of it. It alters your perception of how you feel about that stimuli. In this experiment, participants were presented with unfamiliar faces either 3 or 9 times after a presentation, and pairs of faces were shown to participants, each consisting of an old and a new face. And results show that participants gave higher rates to the repeated faces. Perceptual fluency increases the experience of positive effect, right? Easy to perceive stimuli were not only judged more positively, but increased activation in the muscle, smiling muscle. Product design, same thing with product design. That's why they say marketing works. If someone sees a billboard 3 times or hears a phrase 3 times, they're more likely to like it. That's how come if you recognize a font, you're more likely to perceive it as acceptable if you recognize that font. And perceptual fluency is kind of like me listening to the new Taylor Swift album or watching a TV show that people are, if I don't like a TV show in the first episode, chances are I'm not going to continue watching it. But then other people are always like, oh, just give it a chance. And it's like, well, the reason watching more episodes makes you like it more is because, same with these workplace romances, you are growing to like these characters because you've seen more of them. Perceptual fluency. And I'm actually growing. I'm going to say actually one more time. Fuck it. Actually. It's like that kid. Actually. Remember that old meme? Look up that kid that says actually. Enjoying the Taylor Swift album, the new Taylor Swift album. It's actually pretty good. There's a couple good songs on there. I still don't think there's a single other than track 13 is an awesome song. I don't think there's not like banger singles like in her previous albums, which, maybe that's growth. Maybe she's, that's like I said about Beyonce a couple episodes ago. I'd rather them grow and, she's 35. Does she need to always have a hit single that's a catchy bop song? Or can she start writing more singer-songwriter songs, which she's always done? I mean, she's great at lyrics, and she's a great songwriter. Big Swiftie here. So, maybe that's the element of it. However, I do wish, I do kind of wish she would have released this after this whole Eras tour. Like, take some time. This might be a little bit of oversaturation on the Taylor Swift element, on the Tasteway side. How about Taylor Swift take a break and we start seeing interviews from Tree Payne, because I'm in love with Tree Payne. Tree Payne is her publicist and she's beautiful. So that's that. I am turning into I was having brunch with my friend on Saturday morning, and we were talking about how we were getting older, like how, I'm 42 and she's older than me. And we were talking about do either of us want, are we looking to have kids or whatever? And I'm like, I could be fine adopting or fostering. I don't know if I need to give my bloodline. I don't know if I need Razzles or Eric's, that's my real name. As I've mentioned in the past on old episodes of Today We Learned with, if you scroll back and, years ago, I've mentioned them. I don't know if I need my genes on. I don't need a legacy. I don't need to keep my legacy out there. But the older I get, the older I get. And this whole year of podcasting at 42 is, to talk about my year of being 42. And I find myself, I saw a meme of Mr. Rogers, and it dawned on me that I'm turning into Mr. Rogers. I am turning into Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The show I grew up with as a child and would watch, and it had puppets and Muppets and teaching and the trolley and the mailman, and it had the land of make-believe, and it would teach you lessons and morals, and he would go to feed the fish. And every episode would start off with Mr. Rogers coming into his house, taking off his shoes, putting on new shoes, taking off his coat, and putting on a cardigan sweater. And I used to think that was crazy. As a kid, I'm like, why are you taking off clothes to put on more clothes? And me, at my age, I have shoes I have house slippers and a house hoodie. Let me say that again. I am turning into Mr. Rogers because Mr. Rogers used to take off his shoes to put on other shoes, and he would take off his outside coat to put on an inside sweater. And I used to think that was crazy. And at my age, I do the same thing. I come in from outside, I put on my house slippers, and I put on a house hoodie. And that is the most realistic thing I can think about from childhood that I used to think of as crazy. Other than the older I get, the more I understand it. If you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, DM me at Razzle Dangerously on Instagram, or comment in the comments something from your childhood that you used to think was insane or weird, but as an adult, you understand it now. Because that is having house shoes. I don't want to track, like, I have a whole joke about taking my shoes off at people's houses because I'm old and I'm not playing in mud. In mud. But I wear nice socks for that reason because I totally get it. You go, especially in Los Angeles, you go traipsing around outside. There's so much dirt and just grossness. Like, I don't want to track that all over the place. I don't want to track that in my house. Even if my shoes are clean, even if I have a rug and I wipe my shoes off on the rug, I don't want to be tracking in garbage, especially in the rain. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take my shoes off. I have house slippers. Plus, the shoes I wear outside are more for appearance and not comfort. And my house slippers are slip-on, cushiony shoes. And nothing, I wear oversized hoodies a lot in the wintertime and in the springtime as it is, but there's nothing like a clean, oversized hoodie with a hood that I can just put on in my house. And I am turning into, I'm getting old. I'm getting old, and I want us to, I'm going to talk about this thing about Tylenol. Here's the thing. Two things, I guess. I'll end with two things. I'll keep this episode short. I wish we all get Amber Alerts. Sadly, kids go missing, and I would like, for once, can we like, we have Amber Alerts when kids go missing. Can we, if you're going to show me and tell me and say, hey, a kid went missing, look for this Toyota Corolla. If that kid is found, can you also send me an alert? I'm speaking of getting old, I have nieces and nephews, and I have a very high concern for a child's well-being. Kids' well-being is very high on my level of things I desire in this world. I think kids are the future, and I think kids should be treated like adults, but also talked to as adults because they are humans, and I treat them, with respect. But also, nothing upsets me more than when kids get abused or go missing and things like that. And I would like, if you're going to send me an Amber Alert saying, hey, this kid got kidnapped or this kid's missing, can you also send me a follow-up saying, hey, we found this kid, so at least I know there's some good news in the world? Can you at least send me a text saying, hey, we found this kid? If you're going to send me an Amber Alert and interrupt my day, letting me know something bad happened to a child, I would appreciate it if you could also send me some good news when that child is found, so at least I can forget that. Forget that from my childhood. It's like a forget that from my day. Like, erase that bad news. It's like old Mitch Hedberg used to have a joke where it's like, when you put reservations on, and then they go, party of three, Daryl, party of three, or something like that, and then party of two, and it's like, well, what happened to the Bush party of three? I slaughtered that joke, but Mitch Hedberg is a great comedian. And also, here's something I learned today. I might start doing this, maybe ending these on things I've learned, right? Because I used to talk about things I've learned. And I got this off of Reddit, and I've always heard about this, but this is um, acetaminophen, Tylenol, Tylenol toxicity, taking too much Tylenol, taking too much pain relievers, which we all know pain meds are bad for you, but taking too much acetaminophen, Tylenol, taking too much Tylenol, whatever the Tylenol is, acetaminophen. Um, Toxicity is the second most common cause of liver transplantation in the worldwide, and most common cause of liver transplantation in the United States. Tylenol toxicity, taking too much Tylenol in the United States, is responsible for 56,000 emergency department visits, 2,600 hospitalizations, and 500 deaths per year in the United States. 500 people per year die from taking too much Tylenol. So if you're like me and you got a bad back, or you wake up with a headache because you're dehydrated, or you haven't had caffeine yesterday because you're addicted to caffeine and you're trying to wean yourself off of caffeine, and then you wake up with a headache and you're like, maybe I'll just take some Tylenol. Don't do that, because too much Tylenol, only take Tylenol if you have like a migraine, I would say, because people can get in such a habit of taking Tylenol that it's bad for your liver. It's a perfect example of how pharmaceuticals are bad for you if you just overtake them. You get too used to taking them. Like, how does that become such a like it's bad for your liver, but yet we just sell them over the counter? I can't buy Sudafed medicine for my allergies, but I can just go buy 500 pill bottles of Tylenol and then destroy my liver. Um, so that was interesting to me. That was a higher number than I thought. Like I always knew you could kind of like overdose on normal meds, but the fact that Tylenol can hurt your liver that badly is concerning to me. And I think regardless, I don't drink, so my livers are, I'm assuming, pretty good. Um, but I think just learning that, I'm going to cut Tylenol completely out of my diet, even though it's not in my diet, but I will take some of it when I have headaches or whatever. Ibuprofen, same, but sometimes I'll take ibuprofen for, you know, for things when I'm in pain or things that hurt. And I try not to. I really try not to take pharmaceuticals. I'm not against them, but I feel like my body, the human body, can resolve itself more often than not. Um, Other than that, I'm doing good. Had a good week. Had a lot of work done. Got a lot of work done. Been staying busy. Been staying busy and off my phone. Been staying busy and off the apps. Been staying busy talking to friends and working on projects. And I'm hopeful and excited. And I want everybody listening to this, if you've made it this far, to also be hopeful and excited for your future. And I want to be excited for you. And once again, call to action. If you're listening to this, send me a DM at Razzle Dangerously, comment or send me questions, and talk to me. Give me some feedback if you've made it anywhere near this far. I appreciate everybody who's ever listened to this and everybody who's ever supported me in anything I do. And this podcast is forcing me to be consistent, creating new content and putting things out there and putting my voice out there and putting me out there for anyone who's still there. And thank you. And I hope you have a great week. May is coming up. I hope you have a great end of April. And happy Earth Day from yesterday. Don't litter. Put your shopping carts away. Check the expiration date on the food in your refrigerator. And as always, if you don't like something, leave it in the comments. And give me a good review, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And thank you very much. And I'll post another one of these next week with some more rambles and nonsense. Thank you.